Hi everyone. So this is my second video for my wedding planning, and this video is going to be a list of a bunch of questions that you should make sure you ask your venue. So when you're going venue to venue trying to figure out, what place is going to be best for the wedding, for the ceremony, who has the best deals, if the location, if they have hotels, and I put together a list of about 30 questions that you should make sure you ask. And I'll also give you the answers that they gave me after I asked about these questions to my venue. Now, this is what I ended up taking my notes on. I don't recommend just having a sheet of paper and just going at it with all the answers they say, because now I can't read this. It was just yesterday, so I can remember their answers. But when I go back to this in a couple weeks, I may or may not remember why I just wrote down wine in the bottom corner. But when I was there, I know it's because I asked if they're going to replenish the wine on the tables. But I won't know that if I see that later on. So I'm just going to quickly go through a bunch of questions just to give you guys a little bit of heads up on what you should be asking and what people usually forget. So the first question is, of course, if the dates are available and if certain months are considered off-season or in-season and how the pricing can change. I recommend doing it off-season. Mine is going to be in April, so it's like some people consider it off-season, some are already considered the season. So kind of figure out what days and what times and what months would work best for you and the venue, and how many people can this location accommodate. We had a problem with that because our head count so far is a little bit over 200. So a lot of the places only can hold 150, 170, and that's not enough. Even though we haven't sent out invitations yet, we have to assume that everyone's going to come, even though they probably won't. So making sure that they can accommodate both for the reception and the ceremony if it's in the same place. Then also, what's the rental fee, and is that included in the price, and what's included in the price? Linens, tablecloths, chair covers, napkins, monograms, everything. Sometimes a lot of things are included and sometimes nothing's included. In our case, some things were included, some things they put in our package for us that they helped us out with, but other things that you don't think about, like chair covers. Do you want them to be spandex chair covers, or do you want them to be the loose ones? We chose the spandex ones because I think the loose ones look a little too messy, and then they're going to put a bow on the back. So making sure that you talk with your consultant, talk with your salespeople, talk with the managers, and kind of see what you can put together. And then also thinking about the day. Sunday or Friday are usually, most places, they are cheaper than having a Saturday wedding. But because Saturday is more convenient for everyone, like mine's going to be on a Saturday. Then also, how much is the deposit? When is it due? And is it refundable? And then figuring out a whole payment plan for the entire bill. For us, we have 10 days since we went yesterday. They mailed out the packet, and once I get it, I have 10 days to fill it out, sign it, send it back with a deposit. And the deposit is usually 1%, depending on how many people and all that kind of stuff. And ours is refundable up to 30 days, but that's it. And 30 days really not going to do anything because we're not getting married for 400 days. Then also kind of figure out how you're gonna make payments, or is everything due the day before the wedding, all that kind of stuff. You also want to figure out if there's going to be a rehearsal and how it works. For us, my wedding is on a Saturday, so the Friday before we'd go in and do a rehearsal around 6 o'clock in the evening, and then we'd do our rehearsal dinner. But the rehearsal, sometimes there's a confliction with the venue because they may have a wedding on that Friday night. So they would either figure out a different location or somehow figure it out. But a rehearsal is very important, especially if this is your first wedding, because you don't really know the logistics of it. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes of a wedding. It would also be nice to find out if you want your reception there or your ceremony in the same place as the reception, if you can do that. I personally do want that because I don't want guests to have to travel from one to the other. And I have a lot of out-of-town guests that aren't going to have cars, are not familiar with the area. So it's in the same place. Now, you also want to think about the weather. If you're having your ceremony at the same place, then you have to think, okay, well, is it going to be outside or inside? Mine's on a golf course, so I'd ideally like to have it outside. But it's also in April. And in April, we all know that it rains a lot. In Chicago, it could snow. Who knows? Or it could be 90 degrees. It's really a toss-up. So find out when you have to make that decision, if it's inside or outside, and if they can even accommodate that many people inside. Because for us, most of our venues could not accommodate for all 200 people inside. They could accommodate outside, but not in. So we get to decide the day before the wedding at the rehearsal if we're going to want to do it inside or outside, because at least then we can look at the forecast and see, is it 50% chance rain, is it 0%, is it 100%, and then we can base it off of that. And then also think about if it's handicap accessible, because if you have people in wheelchairs or people have to walk upstairs or downstairs, it may change your mind completely. You should also ask about times, what time you have to be there, what time can you get there in the bridal suite. If there's an event during the day before an evening wedding, a lot of times you can't get into the suite until like an hour before the wedding, which usually is not enough time to get your hair and makeup done, all the girls. So for us, I can't get in until 4 o'clock, and the wedding is at 5. So we're going to be at a hotel down the street and do everything there, and then come back and do pictures inside and outside and whatever, and then do the ceremony and then the reception. So we don't have to, we won't miss cocktail hour. We can mingle and all that good stuff. You want to think about what time is the latest you guys can be there, because some places have a restriction on when they have to stop serving liquor, and some places are midnight. Ours is at 2 a.m. so we can extend the reception by 2 hours if we want to, but it's totally up to the venues. And sometimes the venues will already provide centerpieces. Ours is providing glass mirrored little tiles with 4 votive candles on each table, but I am going to end up bringing my own. They do charge a fee to set it up, but I'm just going to do it myself because I like that. I'm that kind of person. I want everything to be done my way. Also, let's see, I kind of been going over things not in order. You need to think about the food, the catering. Do they cater in from somewhere? Do they cook there? What the options are. A lot of people don't know, but on those reply cards, if you want to put like chicken, beef, vegetarian, children's, a lot of times there's a fee to add those. For us, there is a fee, so we're just going to do like a combination. But if we wanted to do chicken or beef or salmon, whatever, then that would be $2 extra per person per card. So that's kind of a lot. So instead, if you do like a combination, usually vegetarian option it's free to put on the card, and so is a children's menu. So you have to think about that, as well as the cake. Our place, the cake's included. We can just choose from a bunch of different pictures. You want to think about, do you want to cater from, or do you want the cake from a bakery nearby? Do you want to get it from the venue, or do they have any preferred vendors? A lot of times they'll give you a list of preferred vendors for photographers, DJs, florists, bakeries, kind of a little bit of everything. And you also want to make sure you can do a tasting, because you want to know what you're going to be serving to your guests on the day of your wedding, because a lot of times you come back like, oh, how was the wedding? Oh, the food was great. They don't really think, oh, that, I really loved that, the name that was on the ground. Like, you don't really think about that. I really love their centerpieces. You usually think about the food, the DJ, that kind of stuff. Think about if you're going to try to bring your own alcohol. We wanted to do that because my family's Russian and they want to put vodka on all the tables. Well, they don't allow us to bring our own, so they are going to charge per bottle, per table, but then they'll just provide it. So they'll a lot of times try to work with you, and usually you can't take the vodka or like any kind of liquor off the premises or the food. think about the restrictions of music, because sometimes, I don't know, they might have a restriction on music. I don't know. I saw that on a list from Pinterest. Like, I don't know where I found it, but I don't know. There weren't any problems when I asked. Think about how many bathrooms there are and where they are, and if it's handicap accessible, and kind of the size of it. We went into the bathroom to look at it, and it's really, really nice. There's like 7 bathrooms, or like 7 stalls, and then there's a whole like dressing area almost. It's really, really nice. Also want to think about what time you can get in, if you're going to get into the bridal suite or not, and what time the guys can get in, where they're going to be. Our guys are actually going to be in the locker room at the golf course side of it, so that's something to think about. Think about insurance, if they have insurance, if someone gets hurt, just in case. And a really, really important one is accommodations. A lot of guests are going to be coming in from out of town, so you want to think about where can you have a hotel, can you get them any good deals. Make sure you call around and see if any of them, like, who has the best deal and if breakfast is included. I know one thing that I really don't like is when we stay at a hotel and then there's no continental breakfast or whatever breakfast that's included, because I don't know, I feel like breakfast should be included at hotels. So we are going to make sure that ours is included, and try to block off a group of rooms that, if people want a suite, if people want just a regular bed and toilet type room, then they can have that. But make sure there's some sort of accommodations that you make known to the guests, because a lot of them come from out of town and they don't know the area, and they could stay, if I live in one town, they could stay in another town, although we're in the same area, it could be like 40 minutes away. Then a couple more tips is to, if you really love the site, ask the venue representative to put together a proposal with all the pricings and all the policies, including everything with tax, service charge, gratuity, and you need to make sure that you tip them at the end, because a lot of times they'll say service charge, but that's not actually the tip. That's just what the house gets to keep. Think about, is there going to be a sign to direct people where to go? If you're the only wedding there, it shouldn't be a problem. But if you're not, then that may be a problem. And then pay attention to everything. Pay attention to the bathrooms, the foyer, where you're going to put a table for the name place cards, where you're going to put a gift table or a gift box. And then you also want to make sure that you get everything in writing. Getting everything in writing is so important, because you can say, oh, you told me that the chair covers were included. Like, well, we don't have that, so no, they're not. Then they charge you additional $8 per chair. And if you're having 200 people, that's a big hunk of money right there. Try to do a tasting with your fiance or with your parents, whoever I guess is gonna make the decision. And then I have a couple of things that I just thought of while she was talking. A lot of times, if you're in a golf course, they may offer you free golf. So we did ask that, and we are going to get 2 free rounds of golf, so that's kind of nice. Ours also can do a cocktail hour outside. They can kind of walk around as they want, inside, outside. We do have a bunch of smokers, so they can just go outside and then come back in. Doors don't lock. Think about doing pictures at the same place. If you do pictures at the same place, then the pictures will look similar because they're going to be in the same location. Ours is a golf course, so it's 18 holes. We're going to do the first 9. The front 9 is going to be for the wedding, and then the back 9 we'll do for engagement pictures. So there's a little bit change of scenery, but it's still the same location. And think about dinner. If they close the bar during dinner, some people do it as like a respectful thing, but we're going to have it open because as a cultural thing, my family likes to drink, and they drink vodka shots as like with their toast. So that's something that we'd have to talk about, and extending the hours. What else? Make sure you aren't late signing contracts, because then the date could be, someone could take the date. Oh, last one. Make sure someone will be there from the venue. If, sometimes they may just, after cocktail hour, they make sure everything's going great and then they just leave and you're on your own. That's not okay. You want to make sure there's an event coordinator there the whole time to make sure everything runs smoothly. If you have any questions, you can ask them. If you need another bottle of wine, you can go ask them. And if they have questions, they'll come ask you. So make sure you think about that. Also, if you're going to be feeding the photographers and the other vendors that are going to